What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Hive. This is my new channel where I want to tell stories. More so, what ifs for Dragon Ball. Now, I decided instead of some introduction video to my channel, I was going to start with the first part of a what if series I'm working on. What if Bardock and Gine survived? I've seen this idea covered many times on so many channels, but I want to take my own shot at it, trying to make it different from anyone else's stories. Now, did I succeed at that? How about we find out and get right into this what if. The story begins with Bardock finding himself in some strange place. Last time he checked, he was on that ship with that other Saiyan, Leek, or whatever his name was. Bardock's main question now, though, is where even is he? He's never seen a place like this. A grassy, open field with no creatures or even people in sight? Though it wasn't long until he felt a weird presence. Looking around, he locked eyes with another person. They had similar hair. Hell, they even had the same body structure. It took a moment, but it all clicked. This was a Saiyan. But not just any Saiyan. It was his son, Kakarot. Kakarot didn't say anything. He didn't budge a single inch. Or at least until Bardock stepped towards him. Kakarot then rushed forward, punching Bardock. Bardock was able to block in time, lifting his arms guarding. The power comparison is overwhelming. Anyone else would be terrified. But Bardock? No. He didn't feel fear. He felt alive. Trying to put a true gauge of strength between the two, Bardock flew at him, throwing punch after punch, each being blocked by Kakarot with relative ease. Kakarot seemed to have enough, grabbing the punch, glaring into Bardock's soul. Next thing Bardock knew, they were going up higher into the sky, when suddenly he was thrown down back towards the ground. While falling, he caught himself in midair, looking back at Kakarot. Though something was different. His hair had spiked, turning a blonde, his eyes pure blue with fury. Kakarot suddenly sent an energy beam right at Bardock. Bardock was being consumed by the blast, giving a smirk to Kakarot as a final send-off. Through that bright flash of light, everything changed. He was back on that ship, being shaken awake by a leak. What just happened? Was that a dream? No, it couldn't have been. It all felt so real. Upon arriving home, Bardock didn't look at this as a dream anymore. He saw it more as a telling of the future. If this was how his son was going to turn out in the future, he had to fight him again. This would put a firm seal in his plans. He and his wife Gine were going to send their son off to a low-level planet, just in case things go south with Frieza. If Frieza had planned something nasty for the Saiyans, Bardock wouldn't want to let his son die here. The time came when Bardock and Gine were going to send him off. But this is where our story changes. Bardock felt that if Kakarot were going to get that strong, he would need someone there with him, someone to look after him, maybe even teach him the basics of fighting. The only person he trusted with that task was Gine. So, in one quick motion, he knocked Gine unconscious, placing her in the pod along with their son. After sending Gine and Kakarot off, he wouldn't have a lot of time to prepare for his rebellion against Frieza. Not like it mattered. We cut into space. We find Bardock floating above planet Vegeta, looking at the impending doom of him and his planet. He didn't want his planet to be destroyed here, but if he dies here, then what would become of his son? He won't ever get to see that strength himself. At this point in time, most of the Frieza soldiers were out of their ships, ready to attack Bardock at any given moment. Then, when Frieza lifted a finger, a huge ball of ki appeared. They scattered, backing up. Instead of clashing with this attack like in the normal timeline, Bardock, with a new goal in mind, used the rest of his energy, flying at one of the Frieza Force ships. One that looked mostly abandoned, so it wasn't a huge one. Taking out the few soldiers on the ship, he used it, punching in coordinates rapidly. Unlike Goku in the Namek Saga, Bardock knew what he was doing here. The ship would then take off. Bardock didn't punch in coordinates to Earth. No, he punched in coordinates that led to a planet which was on the Frieza Force watch for a while. Though it's been on the watch for so long that it now slipped under the radar. The planet was known as Yardrat. After the blast cleared up, there was no sign of Planet Vegeta left. So Frieza just assumed that he killed all the Saiyans. It was a fair assumption, right? I mean, no Saiyan can survive in outer space. Plus, if any Saiyan were to escape, their scouters would have gone off. Now, I'll leave off of Bardock from here. We jump to Earth, where Grandpa Gohan would discover the pod. He was alerted by the sounds of a baby's cries. Inside the pod, he found a grown woman and a child in her arms. Both wore some type of armor. Suddenly, the woman awakened, a blast firing from her hand. Grandpa Gohan dodged it, backing away and assuring them he meant no harm. It was Gine. She seemed terrified. The last thing she remembered was getting the pod for Kakarot ready, though a slight pain in her neck makes the situation quick. Bardock sent both her and Kakarot, which from the outside would look like Bardock is dead, but Gine would not accept this idea just yet. Gine, being on the more kind-hearted side of the Saiyans, would accept help from Grandpa Gohan, being taken in by him. He'd give them a nice place to live and plenty of food. Gine was glad to be here, even if it was without her husband, though she knew why Bardock did this. Not was it only so she lived, it was so their son had someone to actually train him, which is what she did. In these woods, these two would end up training. Gohan would help occasionally, more so to help with ki control, teaching them to suppress their power at will. A harder part to cover here would be, does Kakarot go by Kakarot, or does he go by Goku? I think he would end up going by Goku. Grandpa Gohan would suggest something like this, as a sort of second identity when on Earth. Gine agreed in giving herself her own cover name. Gohan suggested this because Gine had told him about what and who she and Kakarot were. He had assumed something was off when they both had tails, but aliens? Yeah, it made sense. So, along with the names, he also suggested hiding it if they ever go out in public. So, Gine taught Kakarot how to hide his tail, even telling him to never look at a full moon, which Kakarot was always confused about. Why shouldn't he? Well, one night, that's exactly what he did. He would be bringing home a fish when something caught his attention, looking up directly into the full moon. Something then changed inside him. His body grew huge and it became covered in fur as well. This was his great ape form. Now, in the canon, Grandpa Gohan dies here, but with Gine around, I don't think that would happen. She would be strong enough to calm Kakarot down herself. From that point on, she probably explained to him now why he should never look at the full moon unless absolutely necessary. The time would come when Bulma shows up looking for the Dragon Balls, her radar picking up one on Mount Paozu. This meeting is different, but the outcome is rather normal. She's given the Dragon Ball by Grandpa Gohan. Hearing the story about the Dragon Balls from Bulma, Goku would get pumped up. The idea of going on a journey, meeting so many strong people, it made him excited. Gine understood this and was saddened, but hesitantly she let him go off on this journey, wanting to see him grow as a person. Now, since Goku and Gine had trained before most of this has even happened, original Dragon Ball was way too weak in comparison. Goku would probably find it really easy to get through most of it. Yeah, he would still meet the Turtle Hermit and probably train under him a little bit. But with King Piccolo, this fight would probably go much quicker. I'm not even sure if he would get his youth back at all. Though one thing for sure is that during the fight, King Piccolo would still shoot out an offspring, wanting revenge against Goku. So, once again, the story would go as normal, Kami wanting to train Goku after watching him for so long. He saw that Goku had evil in his heart, even though it diminished bit by bit on his journey. Kami didn't know this, but he couldn't fully rid of Goku's evil. It was just in his Saiyan nature. Kami would definitely try though. And this is where we see the 3-year training gap. Kami would not take Goku's tail here, as it possessed no threat that he knew of. After the 3 years, Goku kept in touch with Grandpa Gohan and Gine, even telling him that he was entering the 23rd Budokai Tenkaichi. The tournament would be mostly the same. All the fighters would be as normal, even Kami tagging along under disguise. There was one new fighter, someone in full black robes, covering their body and their face. They seemed intent on fighting Goku, even approaching him before the tournament began. When talking to Goku, he already declared he would be in the finals with them. This fighter passed the elimination round, taking the place of Yamcha, meaning this fighter would go against Kami, aka Hero. This fight wouldn't last long at all. The mystery fighter was way stronger compared to Hero. All the main fighters knew that this guy was suppressing his ki heavily, yet he was overpowering Hero, even defeating him. Well, the only one really shocked by this was Goku. Goku had figured out this was Kami a while ago. So yeah, it was a little shocking seeing Kami being defeated. Goku didn't know anyone else who could even stand up to Kami like that guy. After this match, Kami would still talk to Goku in private, telling him it was up to him to defeat Piccolo. But he also casted worry about this mysterious fighter. Kami had never seen anyone like this in his life. The closest person he's ever seen like this is Goku. But even then, he swore that that guy is stronger than Goku. Hearing that only made Goku's excitement grow for this tournament. Goku had only hoped that this fighter was stronger than Piccolo, because if he wasn't, then they'd never get the chance to fight. Goku passed his next match, defeating Tin Shinhan rather easily. Now, it was time for the fight between Piccolo and this hooded figure. The match started off seeming pretty even, Piccolo even seeming to gain the upper hand. It seemed the fighter was toying with him, because once he unleashed more of his power, he easily one-shotted Piccolo, knocking him out of the ring, even knocking him unconscious. Piccolo didn't get a chance of revenge here, but that meant that the finals were here. It was Goku versus the mysterious fighter. Goku was rather pumped for this fight. It seemed like it was going to be a decent challenge. And yeah, it was. Just maybe too much of a challenge. The fighter didn't seem to be messing around anymore, boosting his power significantly. It was over before it even started. Goku rushed at him and then he disappeared. The figure appeared behind him, slamming into the back of his neck. Goku fell unconscious. Everyone was shocked. They'd never seen Goku lose. This was the first time Goku actually fell. Yeah, so the fighter won, but he didn't seem happy. He scoffed at the defeat of Goku, and with no more words said, the fighter seemed to just vanish. No trace left of him. Now, this is where I'll leave off for today. If you enjoyed this, then please leave feedback in the comment section. Even liking this video, let me know you guys want to see more of this. And if you want more content like this, subscribing to my channel will help keep you updated when I release more. But for now, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.